Hello and welcome back to Krush's Kavern episode 3. I'm excited to be back this week to finish our 3-part series on Inertia. Before we get into that, I'll let you know a little bit about my week outside of work. My trainer has been away this week. It's been a bit of a challenge. It's given me an idea of what it's going to be like to start developing my own exercise plan after these training sessions are up. But, I can't say the week went great, but I did still go to the gym. My diet is still pretty much intact. It was Canadian Thanksgiving during that time, so I did eat a little bit more than usual. But I think I'm still on track, but I am definitely excited to have my trainer back to take a little bit of that weight off my own shoulders. Beyond that, it's been a pretty heavy week of podcast listening. I do listen to quite a number of podcasts. I think I'm up to 14 weekly. And since a lot of them are Blizzard related, a lot of them were talking about the Blitzchung news. So it's been a heavy week. But given the news that's come out, given all the discussion that's been had, I feel like as a community we're in a place that we can move forward and continue to support the developers for the games that we love. Continue to support each other as a community. I don't think that this is done just yet, but it'll be nice to move on from here. So despite all that, I'm still very excited to go to BlizzCon, still very excited to meet as many people as I can. Really looking forward to meeting all the podcasters that I listen to, the streamers that I watch, everyone in the Discord communities that I follow. Man, it's going to be great. I really can't imagine it. I've only seen it on the virtual ticket. I've only really seen the main events, but that's not what I'm going for. I'm not going to see panels in person. I'm not going to see presentations in person. I could get all that at home. I'm going for people. I'm so excited to see all these people, and I hope to see as many of you as possible. Speaking of communities, I did get to play Heroes of the Storm with some members of the Heroes of Fitness community this week, and that was really, really fun. Heroes of the Storm is a game that really shines when you're in a full group. It's got its moments in solo queue. You can go through, all the systems are robust, there's no issues with that. But when you're in a group of 5 friends and communications, the game just goes to a whole other level. And I'm super glad that I got to play with those folks. Hopefully I get to play with them every week, or as much as I can anyway. Yeah. Before we get started, I want to give a quick shout out to Frazzly for promoting Krush's Kavern over on his show Frazzlecast, as well as subscribing to my channel over on Twitch. Thanks for the support, buddy. I really do appreciate everything you've done for me and this show so far. I hope you continue to listen, and I hope you continue to see some improvement in the show. So, without further ado, let's get into this week's topic. We started our discussion on Inertia by focusing on our gaming habits. Then we expanded to diet and exercise, and today I want to talk about Inertia and our relationships with other people. Now, this could be friends, family, coworkers, really anybody that we interact with on a daily basis. We form habits and routines with all of these people. And just like with gaming and diet and exercise, these routines can be useful, or at least they start off useful. If you've ever had someone in your life tell you that they feel like you're taking them for granted, or your parents wonder why you never call them, the natural inertia of your day-to-day life may be taking a toll on your personal relationships without you even being aware of it. Now believe me, I'm just as guilty of this as anybody. I go to work, I come home, and I go through whatever activities I've got planned for that day, rinse and repeat. It's super easy to just focus on living your life, thinking that these friends and family that you see on occasion are always going to be there when you want to see them. Sometimes that can get you in trouble. I've got some relationships that are totally fine being mostly unattended. People I can call every month or two to catch up with, and there's no problem. Other relationships, though, require a little more of my attention. Now, before I continue, I want to say that these relationships are important to me, and I want to keep these people in my life. Time and energy vampires that drain you without contributing to your happiness are a topic all on their own, and I'm not going to get into that today. We're already familiar with the consequences of an unattended relationship. We can lose friends, drift away from family members, isolate ourselves at work, all sorts of nasty stuff that we want to avoid. So, how can we apply the principles of inertia to take some of our social interactions from being a chore to being an easy part of our lives? Well, that comes down to what motivates you and how you already tend to live your life. For me, scheduling is the best way to get going on a new routine. If you've got a lifestyle that isn't so easy to plan, maybe something like a simple written list of people that you want to call or text that you can refer to whenever you've got a minute might be more useful for you. Let's take an example we can all relate to. Visiting our parents. If you're away from home, your parents probably miss you and wish you'd visit more. Why don't they just visit me since they have so much free time, you might ask if you think like me. But hey, let's solve one problem at a time today. Rather than continuing to go about your normal life vaguely feeling bad about not visiting your parents more often, why not make a regular time to go see them? It doesn't have to be super frequent. It could be every other week, maybe less often if you don't live that close. But creating a planned day to go and maintain your relationship with your parents will make it so that you don't have to keep that guilty thought in the back of your head all the time. You'll just be able to know, this is the day I go, and move on. Another thing I do want to mention is that you don't have to feel bad about pre-planning your communications or visits with people. I've found that there's a weird expectation with some folks that you should be sacrificing parts of your life to maintain your relationships, or that you should always be spontaneous while also making sure every person in your life receives your attention and nobody's forgotten. That all sounds like a giant pile of stress to me. If you need to set calendar reminders to text friends, or set aside a specific time of day to call your grandmother, that's totally fine. Do what you need to do in order to get the ball rolling, and once the inertia takes over, that work that you put into making sure that you're in touch with the people you care about won't be so much work anymore. Maintaining your relationships and established routines doesn't always have to be so involved either. Even just taking the time to text or call people you don't get to see that often can mean a lot to those people. This is one that hits home for me because I totally overthink most social interactions. I'll go a long time without calling one of my friends, and I'll start to get in my head like, well, I can't just call out of the blue. I have to have some sort of important news or something important to say to justify this call. That's the built-up inertia in my own head that only gets worse the longer I give into it. It really goes against my instincts, but sometimes sending a text for no serious reason or a phone call out of the blue just makes me feel better after it's done, despite the anxiety I felt going into it. And it breaks the cycle of inertia and allows me to continue to maintain my relationships without it being such a hazard. For all the things in my life that we should be doing, because it only takes 5 minutes, there's a whole list of those, I would really recommend using your phone to call people or text people directly, rather than just interacting with a huge crowd of people through indirect social media posts. I mean, you all have phones, don't you? Next week, we're going to take a step back from this heavy stuff and talk about something a little more offbeat, and that's my experience as a basketball referee. It's an interesting job that I've had for about the last 10 years, and it gets me into some pretty interesting social situations. You aren't really seen as a person when you're a referee, and that comes with some conversations and interactions that I don't really get anywhere else in my life. I'm looking forward to telling you some stories about refereeing and what I've learned about people through the job. Thanks for listening today. If you want to contact the show, you can tweet at Krush's Kavern, or you can send an email to thekrushinator@gmail.com. To see the rest of what I'm up to, you can follow me on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and Instagram, all at the Krushinator. To see everything I do gathered all in one place, join me on Discord at tinyurl.com/Krushination. Intro and outro music for this podcast was created by Leviathan. Thanks for being here, and I'll talk to you again soon.